Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's April 16th, 2025, and we are in the last week of Lent, quickly approaching Easter. And Easter last year, I had some difficulties communicating with the same people that I'm currently having difficulties communicating with right now. Last year, one of the entities that I had difficulties communicating with claimed that they didn't know why I copied them on a group text with the other person I was having difficulties communicating with. And I tied it directly back to the fact that it's possible that the people who really didn't want to acknowledge what was going on might not be themselves. And what I mean by that is they might, on some channels, you would be calling it, they might be possessed by demons. So why do I say something like that? Well, the persons that I've been attempting to communicate with have always been in my life for long enough that I could say always. In one case, they've literally always been, I've always been in their life because I was born to them. And that person has gone no contact with me, choosing to not respond to either my handwritten letters, my text written letters, my calls, or my invites to have a conversation in person. And they've done that because of their own partner and their abusive actions towards me. And having called that circumstance out resulted in these individuals saying that it wasn't worth discussing. My feelings were dismissed. And I was given a fake apology, the kind where they say, "I'm sorry you feel that way." And basically it was left at that, like as if I was irrelevant, as if my emotions were irrelevant. Well, this person who bore me into the world, who I was born to, used to help me, even monetarily in different ways. And I guess to teach me a lesson, they've cut off all of my conversation that I used to be able to have with them, and also any kind of financial assistance. And if you knew the circumstances I was facing, and if you knew the reasons that we weren't having conversations anymore, you would understand that it was almost laughable. But in this case, I'm not really laughing, although I am smiling through the pain. And I'm sharing these insights in this particular manner on this platform because I really don't have a whole lot of other circumstance or capability to share what it is that I'm going through. And so I'm using the tools that I have for the purpose of hopefully bridging the abilities to get past whatever stumbling blocks there are that have been presented to us. If you can believe that someone rose from the dead, you probably can believe in other miracles. And if you believe in miracles, then you're probably someone like me who continues to walk through the desert, even though they get stabbed in the foot sometimes by the super thorns that might be found out in West Texas, in that type of an area. You probably believe that if you were ill, you could overcome those things because you would be blessed with health at some point in time. And you might also believe that there's a cost and that there's a trade sometimes, a trade-off. Like if I want to be super healthy physically, I probably have to trade not buying all the consumer-based circumstances, not buying into the consumer-based circumstances. Like for an example, the chocolate bunnies that seem to be the most representative thing that we can find in relation to what the Easter time frame is all about. So if you're in Lent and you haven't really given up anything, if you haven't gone without anything, maybe it's time that you think about going without something. Maybe that's going without the news. Maybe that's going without being subjected to the let's call it the you can see the rainbows starting to come in. The sunshine came out just for a second. You can see the rainbows. I have some prisms up here that catch the light and throw some really beautiful rainbows throughout this place. You can see the twisting of knowledge. You can even see over the past years, the rainbow itself has been something that has not been as widely renowned as it used to be. Now it's more of a symbol for something that some people might view as not right. It's basically judgment across the board is all I'm saying. And the board are the people who are so bored that they have nothing else to do except for to judge. And right now I'm being judged for saying things that are true. It's true that I've had difficulties communicating with my parent. If you listen to the past episodes on this channel, you'll see that I had difficulties communicating with one of my other parents. And in that particular case, the conversational capabilities have currently been restored. And so interestingly, I quote unquote lost one parent, but I gained the other. Both are worldly parents. Both are parents who maybe I might not be able to have a true conversation with because they want to protect their ego, their self. They don't want to protect other people. And I say that because in both cases, both parents were present with me when someone next to me in the passenger seat while I was in the driver's seat was yelling belligerently at me. And I asked for help. I even pulled over the car and tried to have a conversation with the person who was yelling. And for whatever reason, the people in the back seat just remained silent. They didn't participate. And in both cases, the non-participant was female and the person yelling was male. So in a lot of cases, I talk about our fathers and toxic masculinity, and I blend all that together with the conversations about peace and truth. And quite often, we find ourselves in these circumstances where some of these circumstances happen to be during the same time frame as something like Lent. And with that in mind, I don't shy away from the conversations and try to suggest that maybe these circumstances are presenting themselves at these times so that we can all take a look into how it is that we treat one another. We can all take a look into the circumstances and go, I'm either a bully or I'm not. And in some cases, people who are watching this have physically assaulted other people. Someone I know was telling me not long ago that they slapped their own child. Their own child was, I think, about 13 or 14 years old at the time. And they did that in front of some officials. And so there were some circumstances that came about from that. That same person who did that one time crashed their car after I did everything I could, because I just by coincidence saw them right before they were about to drive off. And they were intoxicated beyond belief. And I tried everything I could to keep that person from driving away. In the long run, a big crowd of people grouped up against me to move me out of the way as I almost got struck by the car being operated by someone who was under the influence. When people are under the influence, we sometimes can try to blame that, for lowering the inhibitions. The inhibitions are basically the mask. Some people can get drunk and they can act normal. Some people can take medications and then they can go so far as to ghost their only child. Some people can basically be drunk on power and they can just continue to, eat popcorn and watch movies and be happy that they can afford these things, while other people are struggling through circumstances that are probably beyond the ability to be experienced by people who have been fed constantly just comfort and lies. So right now, during this period of time, I'd like to share that just like last year, I was having some extreme difficulties communicating with at least one of my parents. And just like last year, I'm asking for anyone out there who might be into prayer to help pray. And maybe not necessarily for me, maybe you're going through your own struggles. and maybe we can have some group prayer, and hopefully we can bridge the conversation, eliminate the lies. And if that's basically what we're being presented with is a bunch of worldly people who only will lie, well, thank God for us having the break that we've had so that we could actually gain our health back. I've been able to sleep more and more soundly. I've been able to run further and further. I've been able to feel that my heart is healing. I've been able to almost be, without effort, presented with the people that I'm supposed to be speaking with. And for whatever reason, even when I've wound up in the same place at the same time with some of these people who have ghosted me in the past, they themselves have gone out of their way to contact me and find out that I'm in the same place at the same time. So I write a lot of music. You can see a lot of instruments around me. There's at least 5 different acoustic instruments in this frame that you're looking at right now. I don't know if you can see all of them. I'm sure you can, because I just looked at the screen. And now there's 4. But either way, all of these things that you see, the plants, all of the things you see that are the artwork, the beauty, the order, it's something that I would do to help other people to enjoy their time. You know, I don't want to play music because it's just, self-serving and self-interest. I like to play because it's something that I believe I'm doing. It might be one of the gifts that I was given when I was created. And I was created for a purpose, according to even my parents. Well, at least one of my parents. The other one said that I was hated when I was in the womb. And for whatever purpose that I'm here, even if it's just to say the truth in a way that's compelling enough to get people to acknowledge that there is an issue. We can't resolve any issues if we don't acknowledge there's an issue. Then maybe our fathers will follow along to the point where we won't just constantly be bickering over whether or not we can, smuggle a person who was wrongfully deported back into a country, etc., and so forth. Everyone knows what's right and what's wrong. And if we do things that are wrong, we need to undo them if we can, if we have the opportunity. Some things we can't undo. For an example, if we ghost people for long enough, we really can't undo the damage that we did to that other person's heart. Ghosting is bullying, whether you can concede to that or not. But if you've ever been ghosted, and if you're using that as a tactic to retaliate against someone and or to teach them a lesson, then you yourself might also be a bully. So anytime you get mad at someone and can't talk to them because, your ego is too on the line, that might be a good time to reflect on things, not just during this period of Lent, but throughout the year. Every day, as a matter of fact, we have a chance to reflect on things and to acknowledge one another and to hopefully send good vibes, positive input, positive influence among one another. So I hope that these things, even though I'm just winging it, I'm just saying what's come into my heart, what's given to me by the Spirit, if you want to call it that way, Spirit of peace and truth. And I'm doing that, again, hopefully in a way that resonates with somebody out there. I know it is, because otherwise we wouldn't have a continued uptick in the subscribership and all of that. That doesn't mean that people are going to comment, because I may or may not leave the option to comment on these videos. That doesn't mean that people are going to go out of their way to share these things, because more often than not, people want to be private about their beliefs. And that doesn't mean that you have to be silent when you have these feelings that maybe this guy is talking about things that are too personal. I'm sure that the original peacemakers that are documented throughout time used what are called parables. And those parables are basically real world examples of things that really happened, according to the books. And so according to the time we're in, go and enjoy those chocolate bunnies all you want, but don't forget the reason for the season. Speaking of the reasons for the season, have your families gotten together over the past few years, or is it just some families that have chosen to not get together over the past few years, ever since the grandparents left the building, so to speak? So let me know in the comments if you want to. I guess I'll open this one up to comments just for grins. But either way, until next time, don't work too hard. Definitely work at a pace that brings you peace and that brings others peace. Bring order to what you can bring order to. And like the prayer says, give us the strength to just acknowledge what is, and to accept the things that we cannot change and so forth. But overall, also give us the insight to be able to participate if we have the opportunity to participate and help one another. When we have the opportunity to help one another, we should do so fully. We shouldn't just help someone halfway. We shouldn't help someone to dig their own financial hole, for an example. We shouldn't lead someone down a path where it's like, you yank the rug out from somebody. You shouldn't lead someone down a path where it's like, we'll talk with you, but only under these circumstances. That's basically bigotry and ignorance, and it's falsehood. So speak in truth, act in truth, and you'll notice that a whole lot of truth comes your way. Truth is that I'm doing really well with the things that I'm planting. I'm tending to the seeds. And in spite of the massive hailstorm we had that damaged a lot of plants, a lot of things have recovered in ways that I didn't think were possible. So again, until next time, I guess I've talked enough about this subject. So that's really about it from here. Peace, love, and all that old school stuff.